There's a majestic old bridge that links Manhattan and Brooklyn and has been featured in many New York movies. I'm speaking, of course, about the Manhattan Bridge. Okay, so it's not quite as famous as the Brooklyn Bridge, but the Manhattan Bridge has some charms of its own and a fascinating history. This year marks its 100th birthday. Let's go discover more. With me is Sam Schwartz, who's the president of the New York City Bridge Centennial Commission. Sam, we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Manhattan Bridge today. The Brooklyn Bridge came first. It's only a few blocks away. Why was the Manhattan Bridge needed?
After the Brooklyn Bridge was built in 1883, New York City was growing by 1 million people a decade, and it began to grow vertically. And in order to feed the buildings in Manhattan, we needed to get more people in. So the Manhattan Bridge was built with 8 railroad tracks going across it. And in fact, the roadway we're on now had trolley cars.
How did the bridge change New York? What effect did it have?
But what happened was we had a community that was beginning in Manhattan, the Chinatown community. It allowed it to grow by leaps and bounds. Little Italy grew. But then the big growth in Manhattan spread across the bridge. And suddenly communities like Brooklyn Heights, downtown Brooklyn, began to flourish. So it really allowed Brooklyn to grow to become what it is today, the 4th most populous city in America.
Now, I've seen a YouTube video that features a time-lapse of this bridge, and it moves a pretty unnerving amount up and down. Is that cause for concern?
I would be more concerned if this bridge were not moving.
Okay.
The bridge is designed like a machine. It's supposed to rise and fall with the weight of the trains that are going across and the traffic. In fact, where we're standing, we're supposed to go up and down as much as 8 feet.
Where did the design for the bridge come from?
Well, this is a pure suspension bridge, but what's different about this bridge is that they used to have these big, wide trusses for the bridges, and they thought that they needed that to stiffen the bridge. But they soon discovered that simply the weight of the bridge made the bridge pretty stiff. And so the Manhattan Bridge started an era of something called using deflection theory to design bridges, and the bridges began getting thinner and thinner and thinner.
How long did it actually take to build?
This bridge was started on October 1st in 1901. By 1910, traffic was using it. By 1912, trains were using it. And by 1918, we had the full bridge open. And by 1930, 750,000 people had used the bridge. It carried more people then because it had 8 tracks as opposed to 4 tracks today.
Happy birthday to the often overlooked bridge of downtown Manhattan. For more on the centenary celebrations, go to nycbridges100.org. I'm Ella Morton, and you've been watching Rocketboom.